Hi everyone, Tim here, and today we're going to be discussing a few things on this new channel of mine. I know I have a couple of podcasts on other platforms, but this one is my personal channel. Welcome to Guns Uncensored. All right, without beating around the bush, we've got old Mondli Makhanya from the City Press, who's written a scathing article entitled "A Society Without Guns." It's very noble. So let's take a look at some of the things that he talks about. It's the same nonsense that we see over and over again. Right off the bat, they start off with talking about the organization we shall not name. According to those idiots, about 8,900 guns were stolen last year, most probably never to be tracked down until the thieves who have them use them to commit crimes. Yet we continue to have this lax attitude towards our gun problem. Okay. So Mondley goes into this like noble rant about guns and how terrible things are.
Rubbish again.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim.
Basically victim blaming to an extent, but making some pretty hectic comments like this has been a sobering experience for us South Africans who are so used to seeing senseless killings taking place in the gun-crazy place called the United States of America. We cannot comfort ourselves with the fact that knowing that our killings are not random, but are linked to feuds, rackets, and gang rivalries. It somehow makes us feel better that our shootings are not done by disturbed individuals who walk into schools, churches, and nightclubs and randomly shoot children and adults they have no grudge against. This constant need to compare us to America or the UK or New Zealand or whatever, it really needs to stop, because South Africa is not any of those countries. We have a unique grouping of people here. We have unique problems. We have a unique way of doing things. So simply comparing us to the USA is kind of stupid. The South African gun lobby has developed a fundamentalism that afflicts the US firearms zealots, who have made that country's constitutional Second Amendment an article of faith. Using the country's high crime rate as a pretext, gun lobbyists argue that the best way for a good citizen to defend themselves against the criminal element is by basically arming the citizenry. This gun lobby has become highly litigious. It's also become adept at inserting the protection of gun ownership and fighting off stricter firearms regulations by forcing it on the agendas with some opposition parties. So I just want to say a couple of things about that. So again, with the comparison to the US on that we've become these like American-styled gun zealots, that's not the case. Our unique situation involving crime in this country has led us to develop ways of thinking that benefit us and benefit the safety of our families and the safety of the people around us. And then to go ahead and say that we fight off stricter firearms regulations by forcing it onto the agendas with some opposition parties. It's like we're colluding with political parties, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I have worked in the gun lobby for quite some time now, and I don't see any sort of formalized relationship with any political parties. Sure, there's parties in South Africa that believe firearm ownership should be something that everyone has or has access to, but for the most part, political parties in this country are quite quiet when it comes to gun rights and self-defense. It's generally used as a way to sort of gather votes and stuff like that. For the most part, some of the opposition parties and even the ruling party is quite supportive of gun ownership to an extent anyway. You've only got certain guys like Becky Cele and the president who've made some pretty stupid comments in the past anyway.
We believe that with less firearms in the hands of individual citizens in South Africa, there will be a less violent crime.
But to make the assumption that we force our agendas onto opposition parties, I'm pretty sure any of the opposition party members that are watching this from the DA, IFP, EFF, any of those parties, they can attest to the fact that, yeah, sure, we've had conversations with all of them, but we talk to all political parties. I've spoken to members of the ANC who are supportive of gun rights. I've spoken to members of the DA, the IFP, and I've also spoken to members of the various parties that aren't for gun rights. So it's to kind of make that assumption. It's really stupid. But anyway, let's carry on with the article. I'll post it up for everyone to take a look at too. The funny thing is that he says things like what they conveniently ignore is that most of the guns that are in the hands of criminal elements originate from legal gun owners who lose them through negligence or robberies that they couldn't even use the gun to defend themselves from. So again, we're seeing this gun-free South Africa bullshit coming through.
Research shows that people are more likely, you're more likely,
4 times more likely
to have their gun used against them, to have your own gun used
to have that gun used against you.
But if you look at the stats,
So the numbers show that,
According to statistics,
The numbers show that you are
the facts show that
research shows
and gun owners, look at your stats.
That's also been proven to be wrong. If you look at Africa Check has released an article and checked the fact that this 4 times more likely to have your gun used against you in a crime it's also been proven to be bullshit. But yeah, what this then says is that South Africans' civilian population are playing a big role in arming the criminals who terrorize us. In short, when you buy a gun, you are contributing to criminals' potential arsenal. So again, it's this victim blaming gun owners that are at fault here, and this sort of nonsense really needs to stop. We get it. There are people that don't like guns. We're never going to change their mind anyway. There's no point in arguing with them. But when you go on a national platform and a media outlet and you spout this crap, you've got to expect that there is going to be some kickback about it too. The funny thing is, you're probably going to read letters that people write or watch this video, and you're going to sit back in your chair and you're going to laugh about it, and you're not going to want to engage in an honest discussion about guns. I've dealt and worked with many journalists over the years while working in the gun industry, and many of them first were negative about guns. Sitting 5-10 years later, and those same journalists that spewed the same nonsense to me about you're 4 times more likely are all gun owners now. They're carrying their firearms with them on a day-to-day basis because they're in dangerous situations. They've seen that there's a necessity to own a firearm. They see the necessity of having one and the benefit of keeping them safe and their families safe too. So think about that too. When you've got journalists walking around, some of them are carrying, and when the shit hits the fan, you're going to be glad that they are, because they'll be the ones that save you. Complacency and apathy will always be the catalyst to the degradation of our rights, and that's something that we need to focus on. It's time now for gun owners to take off this like complacent, warm and fuzzy blanket that we've got on, and we need to understand that in some aspects we're complicit in our own demise. We need to stop accepting this kind of nonsense being published in the media on a regular basis. We are not the problem, and we need to fight to make sure that we aren't seen as the problem. As for law enforcement shootings, when people are talking gun deaths and stuff like that, when those stats get published on a yearly basis or on a quarterly basis, when we see the murder stats, this 30 people are killed every day by a gun. What's also included by this is police shootings, and when it comes to law enforcement shootings, and that's cops killing criminals who are trying to kill them or someone else, and it's not just with guns. I really have very little remorse for a criminal who dies trying to kill someone else. Same as these gang shootings. When gangs get in shootouts with each other and they kill each other, I feel nothing. It's the trash taking out the trash at the end of the day. But these statistics get added to it as well. So they're overinflating the actual. They're overinflating the murder rate, and then it's being artificially used to make us look like we are the ones that are the problem. And this happens every single year, and it's something that never gets spoken about either. Let's keep looking at his article. I'll post this up for guys to read, and we can continue there. Yeah, he goes on to say, guns are the center to the scourge. It's obvious that dealing with the prevalence of guns and illegal guns should be central to the search for a solution. Reducing the number of legal guns would be a big first step. Should we not be having the conversation whether a violent society like ours, civilians should be owning guns at all? As we head towards an election campaign, shouldn't one of the major parties put out a proposition that we start working towards a society where only the armed forces and licensed security companies are permitted to own firearms? Gun fanatics love to argue that it's people, not guns, that kill. But as Gun Free South Africa says, in the wake of recent mass shootings, a gun massacre cannot happen without guns. The increasing flood of guns and ammunition in our society means more gun violence, including gun massacres. Currently, 30 people are shot and killed every day in South Africa. This is a cheerleading message and a clarion call. Well, Mondli Makhanya, A for effort, but it's kind of obvious at this point that you're drawing from Gun Free South Africa's nonsense. They've been proven wrong. They overinflate their statistics. They have access to politicians that they shouldn't even have access to in the first place, and you're just spewing out the same Kool-Aid. You're singing from the same hymn sheet that they've been singing from for years, and it's nonsense now, and it's time that we start turning the tables. So yeah, there are going to be guys like me that are going to make channels to discuss these kinds of things, to call you out on your bullshit. And there are going to be civilians that are going to go to court and take government to court. There are going to be organizations like Saga that are going to take government to court when they try and overstep their boundaries, because we don't need more gun control. We've got enough of it. And if it wasn't for SAPS not doing their job properly in the first place, we wouldn't be sitting in this trouble. So before you turn and point fingers at us, the lawful gun-owning citizens of this country who want to defend ourselves, because we do live in a violent, homicidal country, take a look at SAPS and let them start doing their job a little better. But it's really interesting to see some of the comments under this post that City Press made on Twitter. And let's take a look at let's take a look at some of the comments, and some of them are quite funny actually. But yeah, William says that that's bullshit. Dojapar, what utter rubbish. Canine Reaper, 3 laughing faces. Anonymous, Gun Free South Africa shill. Funny how these articles pop up just as Gun Free South Africa is taking the SAPS to court for failure due to Gun Free South Africa's policies. Instead of acknowledging these mistakes, they double down. Certified and on, they literally don't know or don't want to know how many people daily are murdered by hands and feet, blunt objects and knives, which is actually quite an interesting one, because when you look at the annual crime statistics and you add things up, blunt force trauma, knives, stabbings, that sort of stuff, account for a huge amount more than firearms deaths. Also, it's highly likely that a large portion of these so-called civilian-owned guns are guns that have come from corrupt business entities. Nachtbriller Mampara of the Week article. Comrade Watchdog, a lot of the statements are almost entirely false. Gregory, Mondli is lying here. City Press, this is bad. The police are responsible for the weapons on the street, not the civilians. This is the second article you put out that demonizes the incorrect people in society. Shame on you. My guns have never come close to arming criminals. but every single comment under this on Twitter, and I'll put the link in the video as well. You can go and take a look at it too. It is all anti. It's all people that are saying the article's crap. So yeah, very interesting stuff here. Let's not be complicit, and let's not allow this kind of nonsense to carry on. Sure, Twitter's not a place to, or not a way of gauging how the population think, but there's certainly a lot of people that are not happy with this article. The Mondli Makhanya, you get a fail in totality, A for effort, but you fail because this is awful. Yeah, a lot of these comments, just going through everything, it's quite damning to see how popular your opinion is, which is crap. So with that, that's me for this first episode. It's probably not the best one I'm going to do. There's going to be a hell of a lot more that I can do in the coming future. We've got some ideas of things you want to talk about. We'll get some people on the show. We'll have a chat to people. We'll sit and have an uncensored gun talk where anything goes, and freedom of speech is king. But in the meantime, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. Don't you want to hit that subscribe button at the bottom there? That'll really help. Let's grow this channel and make it entertaining. And we're gonna do some stupid things. We're gonna post some stupid gun videos of criminals doing stupid things, taking the room temperature challenge, that kind of stuff. We're gonna try and keep it mainly South African focused. But if something in the US pops up, or anywhere else in the world pops up, we're definitely gonna take a look at it, and we'll all have a good laugh together. But yeah. Stay safe, shoot straight, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in.